all, the animation is a masterpiece. Because there were no words uttered at all, yet the sounds and visuals lets you understand what it is trying to portray or say to you. And I love how all the things were all black and white and placed emphasis on the food itself and making it more vibrant or have more color than the other things in the video. And the man who did this is such a creative and smart artist because each scene has something to say or it carries a very deep meaning. Like the first one. Notice how there's this person who sees the food yet he cannot eat or she cannot eat the food, which I think represents world hunger because people knows or people who starve knows that there's food, but they don't have the opportunity or have the money or have the resources to even obtain that kind of food. So I think it represents how that happens to our world, that world hunger exists. And in the second one, it shows that our society has this notion, or men has this notion, that when a lot of women eats a lot, they find this really unattractive because in the scene, whenever this woman eat, the guy looks away, which I think it happens to our society. And another notion that I could think in that scene was that women have this idea that when men has this idea that when women are skinny and fit and pretty, they don't eat food. So I think that could also be what this scene is trying to represent. And then in this third part of the video, I think that it shows how we have a lot of food waste because as I can see, we keep reproducing the same food, like we keep reproducing the hamburger, yet it goes to the trash, which I think it shows that we have a lot of food waste in this world. Like the amount of food that we produce, yet it's some things go in the garbage. So I think that's the part, or that's what it is trying to say. And in the fourth one, where the kids were holding hands and going around the burger, that represents me as a kid because any unhealthy food that I see is something that I love and I would eat, I would worship. And I think that represents a lot to kids is because they tend to eat more, or majority of kids would rather eat unhealthy food rather than the healthy food. It's because obviously they taste good, but at the same time this could cause them child obesity as well, which I think also exists in our society, or especially in our generation nowadays actually. And then in the fifth one, the only one who never eats, or the last person never eats, I think it symbolizes the greed that everyone has when it comes to food. We know, I can correlate this to the idea of world hunger. We know that world hunger exists, yet we do help, or some people help, but majority of the people don't help because they have that greed of not sharing food. Not really that idea, but I think a lot of people think that way, that they know that world hunger exists, but they rather focus on what they really want, or especially when it comes to food. But we can put this also in a simple idea, which is basically some people don't really like sharing food. So I think that is one of the simplest things I could see from that scene. And then in the sixth one, there was a pyramid, and the only one who eats was the guy on top. And I think this represents the business industry, or rather the food industry, where CEO just have more shares or have more benefits than the people working under that person. As you can see that this person on the very top eats more than the ones at the bottom, or the bottom does not really eat at all, which means that you have so many people working and holding the structure of your company, but the only people that get something out of it are the people that are on top, which basically the CEO. And that's what I think that could represent that part. And then for the seventh one, I think, not really think, but it represents how parents really work so hard just to feed their children. Like, parents wouldn't even eat if they don't have that much money, but they would feed their children, or like whatever they can do. They work so hard. They would get through so many stuff just to feed their own child, which really happens in our society, or that's the most common thing that happens in a family. And after that, after that scene, it goes back to the not really goes back. It goes to the scene where a man was sitting on a couch and sees a TV, which represents that the TV is such a powerful thing that can brainwash you to thinking that this food is good. Like, I think there are a lot of ads that we can watch where when you get the food in real life, it doesn't really look like the ad, which is a good, what do you call it? It's a brainwashing thing. And after that, it goes back to the same days, or it goes back to the same things, like in reverse, and shows all the same scenes. But this time, when it reverse, the people who didn't get to eat are thin or starving, which I can correlate once again with the world hunger, where a lot of people can eat, yet there are people out there who are starving, who needs food, yet we don't do anything about it. And after that reverse, it goes back to the same in the scene where the burger has a lot of things coming out of it, like fries, nuggets, or whatever it may be. But this just represents how the business industry can be so fast paced, or the food chain is so fast paced, yet at the same time the society and the people still acts the same way. Like, we still have the same greed, we still have world hunger, we still have child obesity, we still have the same notion about women eating, which I think it is really happening in the world. And in the last part, again, let me put emphasis on this. It repeats again, however, this time instead of a hamburger coming out, it's a fries, which really represents how fast-paced or how much food we produce, and how the food industry is. And at the same time, and even after that, even if we have a lot of food waste, we still have a lot of world hunger, we still do the same thing. Like, we don't do anything about it, or we don't even try to solve it. Yes, some people do try to solve it, however, not everyone is putting effort into taking action and solving this problem that we have, especially world hunger. We have been having world hunger for like such a very long time already, or such a very main problem that we have in this world, yet we cannot solve it easily. It's because, again, in the video it shows greed, food waste, world hunger, and other stuff. So I think that is what the video is really trying to portray here, is how we consume food in a week, or how we eat. And just like the title, it's called Fast Week. And therefore, that's how I think this video is trying to say.